Right, it's a lovely day out today, so I thought I'd do a little bit of work on the Triumph Acclaim. Well, as you know, we ain't done any work on the Triumph Acclaim for a while now, but the weather's turned a little bit now and I've started to do a little bit of work on it. In other words, I've got the inlet manifold off now and I'm starting to repair that with getting them studs out that were broken. I've got a little bit of welding to do on the little plate that goes over the top of the manifold, the heat shield, which has got some rust holes on it, so I've got to sort that out as well. Well, I've been cleaning out the block, as I told you before, because it was all congested. So let's have a little look at it now, just to see how I've cleaned it out. And I've still got a bit more to do on it, but I'll show you what I've done so far. Right, well, as you can see, here we are. Now, all these channels, I don't know if you remember, were all totally blocked up. In actual fact, you couldn't actually see all these little water jackets around the edge there. This block was totally corroded, and what I've had to do is to get a screwdriver in and some just water at the moment and just sort of scrape it all out. And I'm sure you can see there that you can now see right down to the bottom of the block, and where all that corrosion was is now disappeared. And what I've got to do now, I've got the water pump here, which I've actually just removed the impeller off it. The water pump feels okay, but this water tube here I've got to remove, and I think there's a rubber seal in here, so I could leave well alone, but I've looked in the manual and there's nothing stated on how to take this out. Now I believe, as I say, there's a rubber seal in there, but the reason why I've got to take it out is because if you actually look at the end of the tube there, I don't know if you can see, that tube is full of corrosion as well. I don't know whether you can see up that tube or not, but I can't from where I'm standing. But that tube is also totally corroded as well. I thought what I'll do is I'll take the water pump off, which is 4 bolts there, and I've actually brought a new water pump, and I thought I'll remove this tube. Now it looks like there's one bolt there which I've already undone, and I would imagine that the tube pulls out. Now I've tried putting the lever behind that little tag there and hoping it would pop out, but obviously that seal has been in there for quite a long time. So I'm not actually too sure yet how I'm going to get that out. I don't really want to have to damage this tube because you probably can't buy one of these anymore, although I could possibly make one, but it's that end fitting that will probably be a bit of a nuisance to recreate. So I'm in two minds what to do with that at the moment. I'm going to leave that one for the moment, but as I say, I'm going to take the water pump off because everything else would have been cleaned out, so there might be all corrosion and crap inside there. So for the sake of renewing the water pump, I've actually brought a new one, and there we go. That's what they look like from the backside, which I obviously can't see yet. So you know, there's a very good chance that this could fail, and for the sake of sort of a 15 to 20 pound part, I thought I might as well renew it. And also that comes with an O-ring as well, so that's going to go back on. That's a brand new one. It also gives me an opportunity to clean all the engine bay down where I couldn't actually reach before, and get it to a stage where it's a lot more cleaner and presentable in here. So I'm going to be doing that as well. I'm going to undo these bolts first of all and try and get the water pump off now and see how that pans out. Right, well, as you can probably see, I've done the right thing there in taking that out. That's in a real bit of a state there, and as you can see, I don't know how long them seals would have lasted, so taking it out seems to be the right decision. And that gasket there, as you can see, is well flattened off, so I've got a new gasket to go in there as well. And let's take a look down inside that tactile chamber there. Well, there we go, there's the inside of that tube there, so I've probably done the right thing in clearing this out. So yeah, I've got to decide whether or not how I can get that tube out next, and maybe I have to punch it out from this side, I'm not too sure. So that's what I've got to deal with now, but I think it was the right move in taking this out and possibly even renewing the water pump. Right, well that was a bit of a nuisance to get out, but looking through it, it was a bit corroded. I would say this end's probably concerning me a bit more. This is the bit that goes inside by the back of the water pump. And as you can see, there's a bit of a corrosion there, and that might have just started to gone under that sort of seal there. So I may have to try and do something with that, or try and manufacture or get some sort of other pipe made up. I'm not too sure yet. Finding one of these is going to be very difficult, I would imagine. And well, that looks a pretty standard sort of pipe. It's just that end sort of, it's just this end sort of fitting that I'm gonna sort of struggle with. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for one of them. Right, so this really is going to bring me to a bit of a standstill until I can actually source or either get one of these made or manufactured or whatever. So I'm going to have to keep my eyes out for one of these. Very rare, I would imagine. Maybe something off of the other cars that feature this engine. Maybe the Honda Civic, for example, may do something similar. I have to do a bit of a search anyway and keep my eyes out on eBay. Let's take you out to the log cabin to show you what, how I'm getting over the problem with the bolts that were stuck into the manifold that I had to sort of basically get out. So let's go and have a look at that. Right, okay then, so here's my manifold, and I'll just show you what I've done so far. Well, as you can probably see there, them studs are well rusted in. There's no real way I'm going to be able to weld a nut to them and expect to screw them out. They're probably a little bit too small. But as you can probably see, what I've actually done with the other ones there, I've actually drilled it, I filed it flat and drilled the actual bolt out and then re-tapped it the exact same thread. So as you can see there, I've actually preserved the hole, and that's what I'm expecting hopefully to be able to do with this one as well. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to file it flat first, and then we'll drill it out. Right, blinking battery's gone flat. I've got two batteries for this drill, and both of them have gone flat. How about that? They don't last very long. That's these cheap drills you get from your do-it-yourself superstores or whatever. They're only about 20 quid or whatever, but they come with two batteries. But the batteries don't last any long. So you might as well just buy a decent drill, I suppose. So back to the old faithful. Electricity power. Just got to get through this last layer here. Go. That's through there. Hopefully just tap that out with a standard tap, and hopefully we'll get a start with this tap. So hopefully all we're doing is just literally cutting into the old threads once we get it started. And back, always go back, as you probably know, those of you who know how to cut threads, probably half a turn. You can feel it snap off the little brittle part of the thread. And as I say, we're not actually doing these oversized, we're doing them to the original size still. So we're literally just cleaning the threads out of the old metal that was still in there. There we go. Just try it with a new bolt in it. And as you can see, that's the same size thread as what we had in there before. So that's them three now. Back to normal. We've got three original fixings. Right, that's that top spout welded back on, or brazed but soldered back on. It seems nice and solid, so I'm happy with that. Now let's get this 13mm plug out of the bottom of this radiator, because I want to make sure that the radiator is clear, because the rest of the cooling system's been overhauled. Obviously taking this out will allow me to see whether the bottom of the radiator is actually sludged up at all. So if I just remove this and have a look, I can satisfy myself that the cooling system is going to be up to par. What I'm going to do is to remove this bottom hose as well here and give the whole radiator a very good flush out. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, I've taken that plug out. I can't actually see much in there, to be honest with you. It doesn't look like it's very sooted up at all, so I'm happy about that. So I'll just take this bottom hose off and then I'm going to go and flush it out. So the radiator itself seems to be in pretty good condition. I don't really want to have to buy a new one because they're over £160 for this vehicle, and they're quite rare as well. So I'm going to do my best to keep this one going. And as I say, by repairing that little spout has been beneficial, because that was a job that needed doing. Right, well that's a bit of a boring job for you to watch anyway, so I'll leave it here for this moment in this video, and hopefully next time we see we'll have the head back together and getting that back on the vehicle. These are the little tedious jobs that I needed to get sorted out before I started rebolting things back on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video, and we'll see you again in the next video, and until then, bye for now.